Welcome to the first episode of the Gateway to Heroes podcast for 2025, Season 3. I am your host, Randy, and I have my buddy Enos here as always. We have a couple of special guests for our first episode here. Joining us from Cosmic.T.Comics, that's Cosmic.T.Comics on Instagram. Thomas Lugo, say hello, please.
How you doing, everybody? How's everything going?
And also from YouTube channel, Eddie from the Batcave, the one and only Eddie Nieves. Eddie, say hello.
How you doing?
Glad that both of you guys could join us. So we're going to be doing a little bit differently this year on the podcast. I'm going to try and be swapping out some of our hosts, some of our guests as the year progresses. So you may see Eddie with us again. You may see Thomas with us again. You may also see some other people, friends of mine that I have already reached out to and talked to about being on the podcast. But let's go ahead, get right into it. First off, let's take a look back at comic books for 2024. I actually wanted to... Yeah, go ahead, Eddie.
I'm sorry. Before we start doing this, I want to thank Randy and Enos for everything. And Thomas, the reason why I'm saying that is because Enos reached out to me, what was it, a couple of years now,
Right.
to be on the Batman Forever on one of his pages. And from there, I graduated for more exposure. And I want to thank you guys for promoting me at the same time. It's always a pleasure, posting my stuff on your channel, stuff like that. And you open up my eyes to other things. And I want to say thank you personally, now that I see you both in front of me, for everything. So I'm very grateful and I appreciate it. So.
Absolutely, sir. In fact, I can tell you, last year when we did our one podcast, I told Enos that I was changing up the format and I was going to start doing some WebEx meetings so that we could dial in and I could get people from across the country to be on the podcast. And I even said, once we do that, that means we can get our buddy Eddie Nieves to join us as well. And Enos said that would be awesome. I said, yes, he's a guy I have in mind. So when we set this up for the WebEx, I had you as one of the first people I wanted to make sure we get on.
Yeah, you at the top of the list, man.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Hopefully, if all goes well, I'll have a surprise guest here this year too. I still need to reach out to him, but all righty. As we said, 2024. What works for us? What did we think was a huge success? What did we not really care for? I'm going to go ahead and just start off with the two big ones that I really loved last year. From DC, I really loved the whole Absolute Power storyline, Absolute Power Origins, and Task Force, is it 7, I think it was? Fantastic story. I was not expecting to get that drawn into that event. I only had one little nitpick, was that the way it got resolved in the end, which I'm not going to spoil that. If you guys haven't read that, go out, get to trade paperbacks. You'll love it. Trust me. So also, I really loved that they gave us a really in-depth origin of Amanda Waller. Now, I don't know if there have been any previous ones done, like in the cartoons or any other comic series, but for me, that was the first time I'd actually seen this origin story for her, and it was fantastic. I actually understood her motivations. And I'm like, you know what? I don't blame her now, you know? Again, like I said, my only problem was the way they kind of ended it, because it felt a little, oh, well, here's the plot hole that we just kind of left over here and we'll come back to it. Just like Marv Wolfman keeps saying that if you go back and you read Crisis on Infinite Earths, he left an escape device or a way to bring Barry Allen Flash back, but he tells everybody, don't look for it, you won't find it. And he says, if I'm really nice, I might tell you. And as far as I know, he never has, right? But the other thing that I really loved last year out of Marvel from the other house was the Blood Hunt stuff. Blood Hunt and Blood Hunt Dracula. Did you guys read those? Those are phenomenal.
You know what?
I skipped on that one.
I read the Hulk tie-in. I was reading a lot of the Hulk stuff. The Age of Monsters for me, that whole story was great. I did read the Blood tie-in. It was kind of short. It was quick, but a lot of people did tell me that the Blood Hunt overall was just a great arc.
So the great thing about Blood Hunt was the bad guy ended up not being who you expected it to, because basically they got hold of the Darkhold. They managed to engulf the earth in perpetual night. And you're thinking, of course, well, it's got to be Dracula, right? Well, it finds out, like, no, it's not Dracula. Because even the Avengers say, why would Dracula do this? He now has his own sovereign nation of vampires, which was a new twist for me. I didn't know this. And Dracula even comes out and goes, this is not me. This is not my doing. Well, it turned out to be Blade, of all people.
Blade. Yeah.
So Blade takes over and he goes, I'm going to, because remember, Blade's half vampire. So in this story, he's just decided he's going to embrace that side of the vampire. But he's obviously not Blade himself. He's been possessed. But the main hero in the story that goes against Blade and is actually the saving grace is his own daughter. So it was a fantastic story. The Dracula one was really awesome. And the thing that was kind of really cool was Marvel did like their red band versions. They had the regular newsstand, and then they had some of the red band ones that had like the bloody gore pages. Now I will tell you, they hyped those a lot more than what they actually were. I compared them side by side, and it was maybe 1 or 2 extra pages with a little more gore in it. But the overall story was just fantastic. And that was another one was I was expecting to not like it, and I loved it. All right, let's go to Thomas. What came out of 2024 that you really liked that you were surprised with?
Like I said, I mostly read a lot of the Hulk one, the Age of the Monsters, just after what they had done before with Banner, and he was like the machine in his head and trying to control the Hulk. I didn't really like what they were doing then. I was kind of falling off, but then they did a whole 360 with the Age of Monsters story arc. The art was beautiful. The whole story arc and him trying to save this girl who was turned into like this small doll, and in the end it's like, nope, can't save her. She's stuck that way. Like,
Nice.
and just every transformation was the Hulk trying to cause as much pain to Banner, so he would change in the most gruesome way. And I personally just really loved what they were doing with it. They took it back to more of a horror. Like, this is not your friendly, oh, that let's get him angry, he's gonna save the day. Like, no, this guy is pissed off and he's taking it on one person and one person only, and he's making his life hell.
Wow, I might have to go
I
back and
really
read
like
that
that
one.
one.
Enos,
Yeah,
any 20?
it was some of the transformations was gruesome. Like, he would come out of his mouth, like he would break his jaw coming out of it. It was insane.
And what series was it? Which Hulk one was this?
It's called the arc is called Age of Monsters. The
All right,
trade paperback. It's called Age of Monsters.
I'm going to go look that up. Enos, you're up. 2024. What came out that you said, wow, this is really good? I was surprised.
Well, along with you, I enjoyed the absolute power because the thing
Lost your
that
video,
I
brother.
like
What did you do? Keep on going, though. Your video dropped. Are you still there?
right here, I'm on.
All right. Absolute Power, you saying you really liked?
Yeah, I like the absolute power. And right now, DC's best combination is Dan Moore and Mark Waid.
Yeah.
These guys are really doing some things. But I think the overall thing that I really like DC wise is the fact that we were seeing the beginning of the return to prominence of DC. They're starting to give a damn about their characters again, and they're giving us good books, good art, and good story. And they're now like,
Yeah.
okay, we done got tired of being mediocre. We started this. We're going to show the comic reading public why we are the ones who got this party started, and they came up with a bang with absolute power. I love what they done with Justice League Unlimited. The All In was absolutely magnificent, and how they got Darkseid being the catalyst for all of that. And along with that, I also liked how they brought, for as far as Marvel goes, I like how they brought back the Superior Spider-Man.
That was good, yes.
And because to me, that's the Spider-Man we deserve, if you really want to be honest. The thing that really irks me about Spider-Man is he has been this same sad sack kid all of these decades, where no matter how bad your problems are, his is always worse. He's always the loser. I'm like, come on. Everybody can't lose every time. You got to get a win in sometime or another. And it just seems like that Marvel is reluctant to give this guy either a win or to keep him on a steady keel.
Right.
Now another thing that I liked was Dynamite hit the ball out the park by bringing back some of our favorite cartoon characters, Space Ghost, the
Yeah.
Thundercats, Johnny Quest,
And
and
Herculoids is coming this year too.
exactly. And for Mad Cave, Gotcha Man, aka G-Force, aka Battle of the Planets, is back, and they are in full effect. I'm telling you, this is a great book. The art is magnificent, and it's a good jumping on point for anyone who has only heard about it but never watched or experienced it. The Gotcha Man, this is a great book to get your hands on.
All right, cutting you off. I'm going to Eddie.
I'm done.
2024.
2024. Very surprised with Ultimate Spider-Man that came out. Hot item all year. This is what, as Enos was saying, it's the Spider-Man that we deserve. I mean, I know they got the superior Spider-Man out there, but he got mature, got his wife, got Mary Jane finally, got the kids. Excellent. I haven't stopped reading it. I've been so far collecting it. New this year, that was a big hoopla, was the Energon universe with G.I. Joe and the Transformers and stuff.
Now,
that was hot this last year.
Is that part of also the Void Rivals storyline?
Yes,
okay.
That's somehow connected with the Void Rival. Last year they gave us Rook Exodus, the Ghost Machine. That was this was pretty good. Rook was good. The other stuff I didn't. That wasn't me. But Rook was all right. Ultimate Black Panther, another good one in my opinion, of course. For the Ultimate, that came out good. Also, Conan, when they took over for Conan, that was good. I only bought like the first 10, then I was happy with it and let it continue on somewhere. Then I stopped. Wonder Woman last year.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, backing up on Conan, Marvel originally had the rights in the 70s. Did they lose those to Dark Horse in the 80s?
Yes, they kept going back and forth.
Yeah.
Either they lose the title or they didn't renew the license or something and stuff. Yes, that's it.
All right.
So Conan was good. So with Conan, I didn't want to continue on because I was trying to cut back on a lot of my comic books. I was happy with the first story arc and I was done with it after that. Same thing with like this year with X-Men, when they released one of the new X-Men title, or was that last year?
Yeah.
I think it was last year.
Yeah, last year.
The number one, I only bought one. I like the first story, and that's it, because if you continue with the X-Men, you're gonna get disappointed.
Here's the thing about X-Men. How do you take such a great cast of characters and always start off really strong, and then somewhere in the 20s or 30s, the team just suddenly is boring?
Yeah.
Which I'll get to that when we talk about 2025, actually. When you showed Ultimates, so I didn't realize they basically had rebooted Ultimate Universe itself, right?
Right.
Because
Yeah.
Ultimate Spider-Man was originally the teenager in that. It sounds like here, this is the adult Spider-Man that we would have now, but he keeps his marriage with Mary Jane and they have kids and what have you. So I might have to check out those trades. By the way, going to digress for a moment. Eddie, when you read Spider-Man 66, were you like me, like, please just keep him and Felicia together? Can you just keep him and Felicia together this time?
Oh my God. That freaking, I didn't buy that. I stopped buying Spider-Man, almost the current run, because it was that John Romita Jr., the artwork, and then the story was getting bad. And so when they got the new artist in, I think Zeb or something like that, and then they did that storyline with Dr. Doom, I said, okay, let me try that first one. I didn't care for it, but that was more of a cover buy, the kissing with Felicia. But when I read the story, it's like Enos was saying, oh my God, give the man a break already. Enough with this, oh, poor Peter, blah, 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 blah. It was like...
Well, yeah, you know why he's all melancholy in that issue, right? Did you read the previous issue?
I didn't read the previous issue. I don't know if he didn't save somebody appropriate or he died and came back again.
Read 65 and 66 will make sense.
It's just good.
When you, all right, I'm giving you an order, homework. When you go to your store on Wednesday, get 65, read it. 66 will make a lot more sense.
All right.
And now, since I put you on the spot and we talked about 2024, let's talk about what we want and what we're expecting out of 2025. However, before we go down that path, let's not talk about the big movie coming in July, and you all know what I'm talking about. Let's save that till the end, okay?
Okay.
Eddie, I'm going to start with you first. What's coming out in 2025 that you're really hyped for?
For 2025, nothing really for comics because Herculoids, I'm waiting for that, but I'm still continuing with my normal runs with the Batman and stuff like that. The Hush storyline.
Yep,
That's
Batman
coming
Hush
out.
2. I've actually got that on my list. That's actually starting in a couple of months because I think 157 is going to come out here soon, and then 158 starts Hush 2.
Yeah, that's the only thing on the only thing I'm praying for 2025 for Marvel is to give us a better story. That's about it.
Okay.
Bring back Spidey the way he's supposed to in a better Captain America story because Cap was one of my guys.
Well,
and
one of the things happening in 2025 is Sam Wilson's going to get his own Captain America series, which is obviously going to tie into the movie next month.
Right, and I ordered that ahead of the on the previews and stuff like that, but they did it before, and then the story dropped off, and then they canceled the thing with Sam Wilson. I mean, they need to write Captain America better, either with Sam Wilson or with Steve Rogers.
Well, I want Marvel to just do better writing, period. I don't know if it's just me, but so many of their books the last couple of years have just been meh, not really been there. That's why I dropped FF. I think, Eddie, you and I talked about that a couple months ago.
Yeah.
Fantastic Four got to the point where I was just like, I can't read this anymore. And then, for Marvel's First Family, it's the stories that the writing was so bad.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Because one of the things that you could always count on the Fantastic Four is that you were going to always get a good book and a good storyline, and one that was not drawn out. What the hell are they doing with Johnny falling in love with something that looks like the Schmoop?
I don't. You guys were both talking about that. Like, I dropped that book months ago. I didn't know. So.
Oh my God, Randy! Luckily you did, because I was like, what the hell? Freaking
and I mean,
Johnny's always getting messed up with some alien creature.
And here's the thing. They did a storyline, God, I guess earlier last year, where they landed on this whole planet that had its own little group of Avengers, basically, and they had a great character on there who was perfect for them. And she even came back to Earth. I'm thinking, okay, this is it. This is the one we need to put Johnny with. And then she went back home, and I'm like, come on, man. You had the perfect character to pair with Johnny to add into the Fantastic Four family, and you got rid of her. I think they even ended up depowering her, didn't they?
No, he mutated to something else, right?
Yeah, she mutated to something else, right?
But Johnny cheated on her with Dr. Doom's sidekick or something like that. I know.
Well, Johnny's just always going to be a screw up. I mean, how you?
I'm like,
Johnny's Johnny.
It just seems like Marvel is insistent upon, and Randy, we talked about this in an earlier podcast. Marvel just seems to be insistent upon making the Fantastic Four, instead of their franchise group, the red-headed stepchildren of the Marvel Universe.
Which makes no sense. There would be no Marvel Universe without them.
Right.
Yeah.
No, it isn't. Now, I got a question. Is Batman and Robin Year One, is that ongoing, or is that a miniseries?
That's supposed to be a miniseries.
Okay.
I hope it's not ongoing.
I also find it funny that one of the things that Eddie mentioned that he's looking forward to, and I think Thomas is looking forward to it, and I know Enos is Batman Hush 2. Technically, they've already had a Hush 2. This would actually be Hush 3 or 4, because there was already a Hush 2 story. Everybody has conveniently forgotten.
And I have Hush 2, and it's not that great.
No, right. Which is why I think they kind of
it's not that great at all.
That's why they kind of glossed over the fact. Also, too, correct me if I'm wrong, the original Hush took place in the original DC universe. When we got Pandora and New 52 and the whole Dawn of DC and the New DC, that is still the New 52 Heroes. It is not reset. The only one that's actually reset was Superman, because the Superman now is the original one from the original universe. We didn't get back the original universe heroes. Those are still technically the New 52 heroes.
No, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, if you
There's a whole thing with the New 52. There were certain characters who were rebooted and others that remembered. So, like, Flash remembers Green Lantern wasn't affected by it.
right,
Because, like, the whole Sinestro War, like, that whole thing. So, certain characters were affected with the reboot and then other ones weren't.
well, remember,
Batman was all over the place. I'm not sure.
During New 52, there was that Superman and Lois miniseries where you find out that the original Superman and Lois that we remembered from Earth 1 had been put in that little bubble during Convergence. And
like a soul safe haven.
Right, and when he got released, he said, "Where do you want to go?" And I can't remember the guy's name now in that series, the antagonist. He picked the New 52 Earth, and then him and Lois would watch from a distance, because he even told Lois, they're young, they're green, but they've all got potential. So, so Thomas, since you were just talking, 2025, what are you looking forward to?
Well, for movies, honestly, I'm looking forward to the Thunderbolts. I'm a big Hulk person, so I'm really hoping they do Red Hulk justice. I don't think they are, but I'm hoping we do. Captain America. I like Sam Wilson. I like what they did with his character. He kind of started off as this little behind character. I wish we would have saw Bucky take the mantle as Captain America, but you know that I think the way they did Winter Soldier was perfect. He is also there. It's not like they got rid of him, but I do like what they did with Sam. I really hope they don't get preachy with him, because the show is great and that whole speech he gave was amazing. I just don't want them to just get too preachy with how they do him.
Keep having him do that.
Also,
So keep having him always be the guy that gives the inspirational speech every time.
Yes.
Right.
I'm also looking forward to. There's the Fantastic Four is supposed to be coming out. I haven't heard much about it.
I haven't seen
the
movie.
Apparently, it's supposed to be this year. I could be wrong about the year, but apparently there's a Fantastic Four movie coming out. I
haven't heard jack about it.
Well,
I know there is one being made, but I don't think it's being released this year.
So if it's not this year, I just have high hopes for it. And whenever it does come out, I hope we get something this year. At least a trailer. I hope we get something for it.
Well, see, and here's the thing.
I got some TV shows, or if you want to say that for later.
Well, no, go ahead, give them to me.
Peacemaker.
Oh yeah, Peacemaker.
I'm looking forward for Peacemaker.
Yeah.
PC season 2. James Gunn confirmed that it is going to be canon with his DC universe. They're going to have to retcon the last scene with the Justice League, how they show up. He made a comment saying that he's going to have to just retcon that. But I'm glad that he's keeping it going. Like, we're going to have that continue, and it's going to make sense in his new DC universe. Going off that image, I'm looking forward for Invincible. The new season of Invincible.
Yep. Because Battle Beast is getting a series this year too.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to that. And The Boys.
Oh,
the new season of The Boys. I'm looking forward to that.
I gotta be honest.
They went off with the book. So, like, there was a point where you can kind of follow it, but now they're going off the rails. But I still like it. I love what they're doing with it. I like what they did with Gen V. Gen V, I thought, was surprisingly good. I'm curious to see how they tie it in together, because the way things it's just really good. That's what I'm mostly looking forward to.
I really like Gen V in the final episode when Homelander showed up. I said, okay.
Yeah.
He basically showed up and he said, all right, kids, you've had your fun. Time to stop. But I will say the last season of The Boys, that was a little too grisly, even for me. I'm thinking, okay, you guys are just going way over the top with the gore now. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to do.
The books are so much worse. That's what I tell people. If you read it, it's so much worse.
Well, it's just like Invincible. When everybody first started watching the cartoon Invincible, and Omni-Man slaughters the Global Guardians, and
Yeah.
everybody's like, "Oh my God!" I'm like, "Read the comic," because
Oh, yeah.
in the comic, they drag that out for like 6 issues, and you think it totally is just a Superman clone, and then he kills everybody, and you're like, "Oh my God!"
Yeah.
So, all right, so I'm going to jump in. What I'm looking for 2025, obviously we talked about Batman Hush 2. I'm really super excited for what's going to be coming with Justice League Unlimited.
Yeah.
I used to love that cartoon on Cartoon Network because I love the idea that you had this concept of we have all these heroes in the DC universe, and surely not just the powerful 7 can handle everything. So the cartoon took the attitude of there is no reason that every hero on Earth can't at one time be a member of the Justice League, and that's what they're doing with the comic now.
Yeah.
So I'm really hoping Mark Waid's going to embrace that fully. Okay. I also have high hopes for Justice Society, but here's my problem with Justice Society, just like X-Men, is always one of those books that starts off really great, really strong, and then nosedives in the 20s, and then it just drags.
Mhm.
So I will tell you another thing that's going to be really awesome that I'm looking forward to, and Enos, I'm pretty certain you've read this, DC's bringing back Vertigo. And in fact, the new series by James Tynion IV, Nice House by the Sea, is actually in the Vertigo line. It's the first new Vertigo title. So I don't know what they're going to do. I can guarantee you there's probably going to be another edgier Sandman coming in there because you're not going to have Vertigo without Sandman, right?
Yeah.
But I will say there is one thing that I read about 2025 that actually aggravated me, and Eddie, you'll hate this one too. I found out that after this Many Deaths of Spider-Man storyline, they're going to reboot the series. It's going to relaunch with a #1. And I'm like, why do you have to do that? So I was already contemplating dropping that book. That just made the decision for me. Once this 8 Deaths of Spider-Man is done, that book is off my pull. See, and Eddie's like, God, really, Marvel? There's no need to keep constantly rebooting stuff.
It's crazy, man. And seeing, and that's why a lot of people are turned off to Marvel because of the simple fact, just when you start getting in, they get a good storyline, they get everybody drawn in, they resolve it, and wait, be here next month for the new Spider-Man #1. Nobody wants to keep doing that. And
Well,
people, it's a trip.
Now, DC was bad at it for a while too, but I think DC finally learned their lesson a couple years ago because Jim Lee became like the editor-in-chief, and I think he went to all these cons and he heard all these people saying, quit with the relaunches. So I think he took that to heart, went back to DC and said, let's not do any relaunches. Let's just keep doing what we're doing, right?
Right.
Other one that I'm looking really forward to because the first 2 issues have been really good, New Gods, which it looks like that's actually going to be a continuing series and not a mini-series, which I'm hoping the case. And it's funny because Eddie and I, you and I were both talking about this. The writer on that, Ram V, and Enos, I think you agreed with me on this too. He just destroyed Detective. And I mean destroyed as in it was boring, it was long, and I actually just quit reading. I was buying them just to keep the run going. But he's nailed it with New God so far.
I'm going to be picking that up hopefully if not this weekend, next week, because I put that aside. You guys hear that Dan Slott's going to be doing Superman?
I did read that, yes.
When is he doing that?
It's going to be
very soon, right?
Yeah, this summer with the Superman Unlimited store
Right.
book.
So they're relaunching Superman Unlimited. Dan Slott's going to be writing it. My only problem with that is I see that being like the last format where it's going to be giant size for like $8. It'll be like weekly or bi-weekly or something, right? Whatever the last one was. I'm also, I had it right there on the tip of my tongue. Somebody else go, 2025.
For me, I already got started with mine. That's Aquaman.
Yes.
Yes.
I wasn't going to read that, but what you told me about the last page made me think, now I got to go read that.
Yes,
Yeah, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad.
The reason why I'm so popped up on Aquaman. Number one, he's a great character. Number two, they're finally, between Peter David and Jeff Johns, they finally understood what they needed to do with him. And number three, he is getting back the respect that he so richly earns that was destroyed by the Super Friends TV series. because that could not have happened at a worse time for him. Now you already had the first Super Friends franchise. Just like the same year that they launched the all new Super Friends hour, they kill off Arthur Jr. And then they go completely bonkers and ruin the character, make him completely useless, and becomes the butt of the jokes for like 20 years or so. And it's just like he's like this useless character. But thank God Peter David had. My only complaint about what Peter David did is that they had his hand gnawed off, and then they turned around in the Justice storyline, and Jim Kruger wrote where Brainiac cut his brain out and it regenerated. So like, okay, if his brain can regenerate, why couldn't his hand? So once they got all of those little nits and other things resolved and everything, we got the new 52, and I'll still say to this day, Aquaman was really the only character that truly benefited from that.
Yeah, he did.
And it's so funny. I think we all agree New 52 was a train wreck, except for Aquaman. Aquaman and the others.
I got my issue number
titles.
0 and number 1 signed because I was like, I like this.
Yep.
I got them signed, and I was like, no, I'm keeping these. I like this Aquaman.
Definitely. And I saw today there is a big, thick omnibus of Peter David's entire run on Aquaman that's available. It's real. It's gonna be $150, but if you're that interested in seeing that, then to me it's worth it, because you're going to see the evolution of a character that is this was the beginning of him coming back to prominence, and they continued it in the Rebirth, and they really continue it with in the new book. I'm telling you right now, Jeremy, let me get my hand. Jeremy Adams, I think it is his name. He is going to work, and he is Jeremy Adams and John Timms. They are kicking some major butt.
That's a nice cover too. On top of that,
yeah.
And the one that really stuck out for me is this panel right here. He's coming out the water to land on an airplane that's blown out an engine. And he helps, and he uses his telepathic abilities to bring the plane down to softly land it in the ocean. And he calls on his marine animals to help get the people off of the boat and put them into flotation devices.
Well, he's always done that before too. And honestly, I always think, and this is, I don't know. I know Enos is going to kill me for this. For me, the best version of Aquaman was always the one we got out of the Justice League Unlimited cartoon.
Yeah.
That was and I'm like, why can't the comic be like this guy? Yeah.
Well, apparently somebody listened, and because that is exactly how people before Peter David left the book. That's how he was, and he didn't mind being at odds with the Justice League.
Right.
And I'm glad that we did get a taste of that on Justice League. Huh?
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean,
I agree.
I love Aquaman on the Justice League. He was cool and stuff like that. So like he was saying, why didn't they translate that into the comic books? And then when Peter David took over, it was the thing with the hand.
Yeah, and feed it to the barracudas or the piranhas. I'm like, man, that is rough.
It was rough because I'm reading it. Man, he's having a tough time. Oh God.
Well, You just
I
at
haven't
that
had a whole
time,
God moment in the book in a long time until that.
at that time, we weren't used to just bad crap like that happening to the main character.
Right.
And isn't that the
Well,
way issue 1 ends, with his hand in a pulled piranha? You're just like, oh crap! And then you're like,
it
where's the
was
next
issue
page?
2. It was issue 2 back in 1994, and the way Martin Edgeland drew it, you was like, dang.
You can see the blood bubbling up in the water. You just knew, oh, he is toast.
No,
All
did
right.
you see the
And that's
panel?
not going back. That's not coming back.
Yeah.
Did you see the panel where they showed his hand and his fingers had been gnawed off and
Yeah,
everything?
That's what I'm saying. That's a lot of people back then. I think that was only one of the few times I remember everybody in the comic shop going, "Did you read Aquaman?" No.
Yeah.
You need to read Aquaman.
Yeah.
You need to read Aquaman, because when Peter David jumped on that book, his status quo changed, and he went from being. You remember how we talked about Thor was that character where you could take or leave his book, and when
Yes.
Simonson took over, it was a book that you had to read, that you had to get with your pull. That is what Peter David did with Aquaman, and he was a guy, one of those characters that was a good character, but he couldn't keep his book up for long. That ended with when they got once Jeff Johns tied those loose ends together in 2011 for New 52, during the New 52, and we got Aquaman to poke fun of himself and like, okay, we didn't have fun now. I'm gonna show you suckers what I can really do. And that is what led to and people talk about, why did they cast Jason Momoa? Jason Momoa was a perfect guy to play that role, because
Yes.
you got the combination of the classic Aquaman and the badass Aquaman that Peter David gave us back in 1994. And guys, if I may make a suggestion, read Aquaman Time and Tide by Peter David and
Oh,
Kirk
yeah.
Jarvinen.
Yeah.
That is the book that is the catalyst that begins the evolution of Aquaman.
Everybody says to read that
A lot of
series.
Peter
Yeah.
David's book. A lot of Peter David has good, like what he does with Maestro, what he does with Spider-Man 29. Like when he gets on a story, if he has an idea and you let him do it, it's gonna be good.
Right. Well, remember, he's
Yeah.
the guy who also brought back the Grey Hulk and Mr. Fix-It and that whole run where
Yes.
he was out in Vegas. Another one that he did that everybody seems to just forget about. He, I don't remember the time frame of the issues, but he also took over Supergirl a long time ago and did
He
that
did.
whole story about the many happy returns where the
Yep.
current Linda Danvers and the one from the 60s meet up, and that whole story arc there about how do you reconcile the two different versions of Supergirl that we knew as fans, and he blew Supergirl out the water.
Yeah,
And
he
that book
did.
took off.
Yeah,
So,
and when he has an idea, if you let him do it, you give him a good artist, it's gonna be a good hit. It's gonna be good.
yeah. So, real quickly, before we get to it, the big one for 2025, let's talk about the kerfluffle over at Diamond. What do we think that's going to? What do you think that's going to end up doing to our comic industry?
Well, I spoke to Carl. He owns Bob's Hobby here in Springfield on Dickinson, and he said that the smaller publishers, the smaller independent, they might be affected, because if they don't have an ordering system set up, where are you going to order the smaller publishing stuff?
Right.
I think he's talking more like Boom, Bolt was another one, and Matt Cave was another, and they were wondering, where are you going to get the order form? Because now what you have Lunar, and then you have Penguin. Lunar I know has an order form for DC and Image, but they don't have it for the other guys with Marvel and stuff like that. I think Marvel's through Penguin. I'm not
Right. Well,
100% sure on that one.
I thought I heard Boom has already switched over to one of the other publishing houses. So I think
Oh,
Boom
did they?
might be
Okay.
okay. The problem with Boom is they've had a huge restructuring of the entire company, and tons of people were either fired or laid off. My big problem with Boom right now, and not a problem, is my fear with Boom is one of my favorite series that comes out of Boom is Something Is Killing the Children, and we haven't seen a new issue of that in months. Not to mention the follow-up title, House of Slaughter, is actually ending in 2 months at issue 30, and I'm afraid that whole series of books is gone, which is sad because Erica Slaughter is a fantastic character, and it just breaks my heart that that series might just be gone now.
Because of Diamond not
Because of the whole restructuring over at Boom. That's in other words. So I don't think their distribution's a problem as much as their whole restructuring's a problem. But yes, a lot of the smaller houses, like I think Aftershock might be one that's going to be worried, that's going to take a hit. Things like Oni Press, Titan Comics, a lot of those smaller publishers that are getting a lot of notice are probably going to take a big hit.
Also, he was talking about the merchandising part of it. Mm-hmm. If you want to get a shirt or something like that, or those little statues, the Diamond was good for selling that, but again, you're not gonna. If Diamond, we were talking about that chapter 11. I know they got like some money for it to continue. They were talking, $40 million that they got, and so they're not gonna go away yet. So I think they're gonna do their best to get the ordering system on, unless the publishers, the smaller ones, gravitate towards Penguin or Lunar.
Right.
But as far as the store concerned, he didn't seem too concerned. He was more worried about the smaller publishing companies disappearing.
Right, absolutely. So, we could go from 300 to 400 publishers down to 80 because it's going to affect a lot of them. My big concern, and I was telling Enos this, is I know there's still a lot of stores who get exclusively from Diamond, with the exception of like some of the DC books, because DC totally broke ties and you had to get them from Lunar, right? But how many stores still had exclusive contracts with Diamond who in 2 or 3 months may not have any new books on the shelf because they didn't swap over? Because Random House, Penguin, and Lunar, are they ready to take on hundreds of thousands of new customers, which may be happening very soon?
Well, around this area, you remember you text me about if it's true that some of the stores didn't get their books?
Yeah.
And I spoke to multiple stores around here, even up by Greenfield. They were going through the same problem. Even with one of the guys on the YouTubers that I talked to them on the comic book community, they were all having the same issues. The oddball titles weren't coming in.
Right.
There was that problem. So if they were smart and they knew about Diamond, they would slowly go talk to the other distributors about, listen, we need to move because we're losing money. The stores was losing money because they were ordering a lot of big independent titles that never came in that week.
Right. And here's the thing about that too, Eddie. That was before Diamond announced Chapter 11.
Yeah.
So there was
this happened all during December.
Right. So that could be a bigger problem down the road. All right. So let's go ahead and talk about the big one for 2025 that I know we're all just chomping at the bit for. Superman.
Hey, Randy.
Yes.
Hey, Randy. I do, if I may, just quickly, there are 3 titles I think you guys need to look at for DC. Zatanna.
Yep.
Now there's a new #1 coming out, written and drawn by Jamal Campbell, who did the artwork on that fantastic run with Josh Williamson on Superman. The Justice League, the Atom Project, written by John Ridley, and the artist by the guy that Mike Perkins, who did that Black Label Batman story with Dan Jurgens. I looked at that today. That's good. And a group is returning, or has returned.
Challengers of the Unknown?
Huh?
Challengers of the Unknown?
My man, see? great minds think alike. You and I have talked about these guys. Fellas, I'm telling you, get your hands on Challengers of the Unknown.
Because book 1 dropped last week, I think, actually.
Yep. And I put mine aside and I looked at it today. Magnificent.
I think the new Zatanna has already dropped also, which That's all because of the success of Santana bringing down the house, which were really good. That actually went a little
I
dark.
had the first 2 issues. That
Went
wasn't
a little
that
dark
bad.
with Santana. I got to tell you, I was not expecting that, but it was good.
Not surprising. It was definitely surprising to just be like, oh shit, from Zatanna? Really?
Oh
Okay,
yeah.
here
Well,
we go.
when you first read her origin of her father, you're like, oh wow, okay, so he's not a nice man.
No.
And if I may make a suggestion, also, gentlemen, Jeremy Adams, who's doing Aquaman, is also doing Green Lantern.
I just
So
can't do Green Lantern anymore, and I don't know why. I think my heart was broken ever since the whole Dark
Grant
Knight and
Morrison.
all the stuff that Jeff Johns did, and then he left, and all those titles went
You don't
right down
want
the
to give this
crapper.
guy a chance.
No, I don't. Where's have I got to go get a Flash
I
now?
want
Go
to
see
see.
with Eddie?
Listen, I want to see the other cores. I want to see something, whether it be a show or something that goes more into the other cores. One of my favorite stories was The Blackest Night,
We'll put it
and
that way, Eddie. Here
it
you
was a
go.
masterpiece.
Yeah.
Is that a Bowen?
No, it's not a Bowen. I don't remember what it is. It's funny. He stands on a base here, but I actually have him on a shelf with 3 of my graded Flashes over there. I'll get you a picture of it later. You'll like it.
Don't make me get my reverse flash, okay? I'll go get it.
All right. So Enos, real quickly, because you mentioned Atom Project, I did not pick that book up. I will probably read it online and not pick it up, and I tell you why. Okay? Because I'm one of the few suckers out there who's reading Jenny Sparks. Jenny Sparks is a fantastic series.
Right.
Everybody is passing on that. And you know why that book is so good? Do you know who the bad guy is in Jenny Sparks?
The
You
one of
don't,
the
because you're
cabins.
not freaking reading it. The bad guy in Jenny Sparks is Captain Atom, touching all the way back to Armageddon 2001 when it was supposed to be Captain Atom originally. So Tom King is saying, okay, let's go ahead and tell the story where Captain Atom is the bad guy. Here's my problem. Atom Project #1 came out last week with Jenny Sparks issue 6. Jenny Sparks is not done yet. There's one more issue. So DC basically ruined the ending of Jenny Sparks by having Atom Project 1 come out before you wrapped up that series. So now I already know he gets his act back together and he's no longer crazy. Because I can tell you, in Jenny Sparks, he's lost it.
Oh yeah, and you know what? That was another. This you're absolutely right. This was another case where DC kind of shot themselves in the foot because Captain Atom is very unstable in this book. But I really like the look of Ray Palmer. Ray Palmer has a completely different costume, and Ryan Choi has a costume that is reminiscent of the one that Brandon Routh wore as Ray Palmer on Legends of Tomorrow.
Legends?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So both of you guys, when it comes out, because issue 6 just hit, which means issue 7 is probably going to drop soon. When the trade for Jenny Sparks comes out, pick it up. You'll like it.
Okay.
All right. So let's go ahead and back to Superman now. Thoughts, opinions on the trailer. Do we have high hopes for the movie, or we think this is another dumpster fire, which I didn't agree with anyway on the Snyderverse? But I want to hear your take.
I'm looking forward to it. I mean, they're going full blown with superheroes. They're announcing this is not an origin. Superheroes exist. We're gonna just throw them up. I hope it's not overcrowded because it is a Superman movie, and we have who is it? Green Lantern, Hawkgirl, Mister Terrific, Metamorpho, Lex Luthor. Like I hope it's not too crowded, but I am happy to see everybody in there.
And
Like,
I heard supposedly that Supergirl is also in it as well.
Yeah, she's at towards the end or something. They were mentioning.
Yeah, they're going to use that as a segue into the Supergirl book. Now, Eddie and Randy and Thomas, I have a group page called Superman, Earth's Greatest Hero. This has been the topic of conversation on that page because we've got folks that's all over the place. Personally, I think the movie's going to make its money for the very same reason that Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom made money. That movie started off just like Rotten Tomatoes said it was going to start off made exactly that same amount, but people found out that the movie was good for the most part. And then by word of mouth, that movie wound up making damn near $500 million.
Right.
I think, I truly believe that not only will Superman be a success, it's going to be a success because people have raised so much hell about it and they've cried like a bunch of children about it that people are going to go, well, let me see what these jackasses
They're
are
going to
crying
go
about.
see it so they can pan it and walk out of going, well, that was actually good.
Yeah, people are gonna see it regardless if they like it or not. But
Exactly.
I just hope that the story, because James Gunn can do it. We all know
Yeah.
he took a team that nobody cared about, and now it's a household name. Everybody knows who Groot, Rocket. Like he took the Guardians and made them those people. I have no doubts that he could take Superman and make it even better.
Right.
I really think that if there's anybody that can bring the DC comic book characters to prominence on the silver screen, it's James Gunn. And I think DC did a great job by hiring him and putting him in charge of everything. And I think when he's all said and done, DC is going to be right now, okay, Marvel, how you like me now? I really believe that.
Great,
And
but they need to stay out. They need to stay out of their own way.
yeah,
Let him
yeah,
do what he needs to do.
Right.
Let
yeah,
James Gunn go.
exactly.
Don't
Exactly.
don't do with Gunn what you did with Snyder. Snyder had a
Yes.
vision. It would have worked if you had just let him finish doing it. Because he even told DC, look, I know it's dark. I know it's gritty. It's going to get better. Just let me work. You all know that Justice League was supposed to be 3 movies? That was a 3-movie arc.
Yeah,
And
you can
DC,
tell when you watch it. It's
Warner
set up for
Brothers,
Darkseid.
Warner Brothers got in the way. I'll tell you why Superman is going to be a success. Because it has the 2 things that they say you don't ever work with in Hollywood: kids and animals. And because crypto's in it, crypto's going to steal the entire movie.
Yeah, it is.
And people will see it because crypto will be so darn cute. Eddie, you're going to say something. I can see it coming.
It is right there. The kids.
Yes, exactly. I have that too. That's a great issue. So
I mean, I agree. Crypto. I was excited when I saw that little puff of the snow up in the air.
no, you knew immediately. Oh, that's my boy. That's the boy.
I'm like, yeah,
Here he
that's it.
comes.
I'm gonna go see Crypto alone. Never mind everybody else. All right, Green Lantern's there, Metamorpho. I want to see Crypto do his thing.
Right.
No, I'm excited about the movie. They made it. The colors are not dark. They made it bright.
Right.
They made it where there is hope. As before, I understand why they did the Man of Steel. I like the Man of Steel. It was good. With this here, with the new, I can't even think of the actor's name, but the
David Cornsweet.
I think they're gonna do well with that movie. I mean,
And you
the
know,
element is there.
Yep. And I'm actually really liking Rachel Brosnahan as Lois. But when they first announced her, I didn't know who she was. And then a friend of mine said, go watch Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. And I was hooked from episode 1. So I binged all 4 seasons of Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. She had a very quick, sharp-tongued wit. She's going to be fantastic as Lois.
Oh, yeah.
So that is it. Yes. Yes.
I think that from what I've seen, and Eddie, I think you and I, Tom, were talking about this on the group page. I think she knows who he is.
Well, again, James Gunn has already said this is not an origin story. We're not going down that road. So I think we're going to get the Superman career where Lois already knows who he is.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
If not,
if not, I was gonna say if she doesn't, they've made it very clear that when he's Clark Kent, he looks very Clark Kent, and Superman looks different.
Right.
Like you can have an argument with this Superman that this is not the same person.
Right. If she
look very different.
If she doesn't know, that you can already see that she looks at him like, I know you're not who you say you are. Right? She's got that look already.
I think it's still
you, bro. This guy? Oh, wait a minute. This is me, Eddie.
What's going
So
on?
his
Right.
hair is different. Like when
Now
he
me,
he
I can
becomes Clark
my
Kent.
head off
Jesus.
and see, that I look completely different. I take my glasses off, I look like Uncle
Oh my
Phil.
God, who the hell are you? You look like
Do you remember back when they did Lois and Clark with Terry Hatcher and oh my God, what is his
Oh
name?
yeah.
Um, they had a guy from the future, and he
Yeah,
said,
I
"The
remember
number
that.
one question is, how stupid was she? Look, I'm Clark Kent. No, I'm Superman. Look, I'm Clark Kent. No, I'm Superman." And she had
Yeah.
that look on her face like, I should slap you in the mats, right?
Yeah.
But all right, so that is all the time that we have. Great show, everybody. Before we go, Thomas, plug your site for me real quickly for all our listeners out there.
It's gonna be Cosmic.T.Comics on Instagram.
Awesome. Eddie, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
Plug your
Oh.
site real quick.
It's Eddie from the Batcave, my YouTube channel. Come and see me once a week, like Enos and you announce. I'll do my little video thing with my new books. I don't know if I've got any new books coming this week. I have to go check.
I looked. I think I've got maybe one or two. It's going to be a very slow week because I think this is one of those months with the fifth week is the problem. So I'll have to look. But yeah, I was looking today. I think I'm getting one or two books. So, all right. Thank you guys both very much for joining us. We will probably have you on future episodes. I think I was actually already talking with you guys about that earlier. Until then, everybody, you all have a nice evening, and we will see you next week, next month.
Thank you for the invite.
All right.
Thanks,
Have a good night.
guys.
Have a good night, everyone.